Welcome back, YouTube, to the GoCast podcast. I am BigNige, and welcome back to another segment of Basketball with BigNige. For today's video, I'm just going to be giving you guys my thoughts on Jimmy Butler and some potential trade scenarios. And it's kind of crazy to be saying this because Jimmy Butler was one of the last people I thought that would have ever left Miami until the most recent events have occurred. Not going to spend too much time breaking it down, but just understand that two sides, Jimmy Butler's side and Pat Riley's side of the Heat organization, they are at a stalemate. Jimmy Butler wanted that extension. Pat Riley and the Miami Heat essentially said no. Um, and obviously, there was some controversy over this past postseason, where I know many of you have heard Jimmy Butler infamous quote saying that if he was in the playoffs, Boston would be home, New York would be home. And then you see Pat Riley respond in another press conference saying people who aren't playing shouldn't be talking. That boiled over into this season when contract negotiations were supposed to take place. You know that there was no conclusion on either side. Then, of course, um, there was reports out there that Butler wanted a trade, and Pat Riley kind of shut those down. You know, he says he normally doesn't respond to these kind of rumors, but it's being detrimental to the team. So he basically nixed it a few days ago. And as of this recording yesterday, Pat Riley and the Miami Heat pretty much have issued a statement. They're ready to move on from Jimmy Butler. He had conduct detrimental to the team, basically saying he doesn't have any joy playing for the Miami Heat. They suspend him for 7 games, and here we are now. They're willing to listen to trade offers for him. So, if you're watching, I might have some suggestions for you. Um, Before we start, make sure you like the video, comment down any trade scenarios you like to see, or Jimmy Butler, where would you like to see him go? Um, that being said, let's jump into it. All right. So, this is the first trade that I came up with. It's a 3-team trade with the Miami Heat, Golden State Warriors, and Brooklyn Nets. The biggest thing for Butler's camp has said that Jimmy Butler's preferred trade destinations are the Mavs, Rockets, Phoenix Suns, and Golden State Warriors. One thing to note before we continue is that Miami is probably, especially Pat Riley, he can be spiteful, and I don't necessarily believe he's going to just up and give Jimmy Butler away to his preferred destinations unless it makes the most sense. So for that reason, Dallas and Houston they're not going to be on my trade scenario list because I just don't see them being able to put the assets together. Um, Houston has the assets, but they don't want to part with Jalen Green or Jabari Smith Jr., which is understandable because they've been playing pretty well. But without either of those in the package, I don't see them getting the deal done. I mean, Dylan Brooks is cool, but him and some other pieces isn't going to be enough for Miami. And then with Dallas, you'd basically gut your roster to basically get Jimmy Butler. So I just don't see them making a move either, albeit they'll probably be the ones more desperate outside of the Golden State Warriors just because of where they are in the season with Luka going down and PJ in and out of the lineup. They're in desperate need of some help. That being said, jumping into our first trade. So Miami's going to receive Cam Johnson, Buddy Hield, Kaminga, Zaire Williams, and 2 first-round picks. Warriors obviously get Butler, Jalen Wilson, and then the Nets get Wiggs, GP2, salary filler, and a 2030 first-round pick from Miami Heat. Not going too far into detail, but this kind of gives Miami like a soft rebuild. You get one of the better two-way players in the game, get a proven shooter in Buddy Hield, get Kaminga, who's a solid scorer. So you don't have to really go into a full rebuild. I think with this roster, you remove Jimmy Butler, but you also add these guys and these pieces. I think that keeps Miami, assuming health, at least in the top 5 or top 10. Top 6 contention. My mistake. In the Eastern Conference, and if you have a solid group of guys, You're building around Bam Adebayo. I think Cam Johnson and Jonathan Kuminga are really good pieces for that soft rebuild. You still got Tyler Hero, still got Duncan Robinson, who's a solid shooter. But what we're seeing from Hero and Bam, you plug in a guy like Cam Johnson, you plug in a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, you already still have Hayward Highsmith, who's a solid piece. I think they could be okay. I'm not going to say they're world beaters or title contenders, but if we're talking about the post Jimmy Butler era with those young pieces, I think they'll be pretty good. Definitely exciting to see how those pieces fit, because those pieces definitely do fit Heat culture. It's just going to be exciting to see how they develop. On the Warriors side of things, you get Jimmy Butler, you get some offense on that team. They've been struggling just after starting really hot in the season, going as far as the second seed in the West. Now they're down somewhere between 9 and 10, I believe. So they just need some offense. They just can't score. And I know losing Wiggins to Kaminga isn't the best thing, and also losing GP2, but you guys got to shake it up. How you are currently constructed, it's just not getting it done, right? You got to maximize Steph Curry's window, and bringing in a guy like Jimmy Butler and a Jalen Wilson, who's a solid 6'6" wing piece, definitely can do some things for you as well. But Butler is the big meal ticket, and he can definitely help them for the next few seasons, assuming this trade gets done. For Brooklyn, you get a rebuild, you get Wiggins, who by himself, throwing him there with D'Angelo Russell and Cam Thomas and those guys, you know, they're not going to win very many games with this roster, obviously. So you're throwing a bag or some money at Wiggins. Cool. I mean, his salary right now isn't the best to be traded for contenders. I would probably keep him for one more year, let him showcase his skills, get some more reps up, and then by the offseason or like the next trade deadline of the next season, then you can move Wiggs for a cheaper deal for a contender and maybe get some more draft capital as well. The rest of the team, GP2 and the salary filler, they're not going to put any immediate impact. Again, probably going to be looking to move some of those, at least GP2, for some more salary or draft capital. So that's my one. That's the first trade. Definitely comment down below and tell me your thoughts. Am I tripping, or did I strike gold with this trade? Just let me know down below. Coming in at the second trade, this is going to be a big one. You got De'Aaron Fox going to Miami and Kevin Huerter. The De'Aaron Fox news shouldn't be a surprise to you guys, considering that he has not signed his extension with the Sacramento Kings because he wants to see how the general manager, fleshes out the rest of its roster. Obviously, they've been struggling. They fired their coach. So there's a lot of turmoil going out over there in Sacramento. They have picked up their play as of late, last 3 games or so, and De'Aaron Fox has looked absolutely amazing. But if they do decide to pull the plug, I think a De'Aaron Fox, Bam Adebayo, who have chemistry together, would be a very solid duo to watch in the Eastern Conference, as well as adding a shooter in the likes of Kevin Huerter, who has struggled this season, but we know with the right coaching and the right structure around him can be a very solid shooter. So I definitely think that's a good for Miami. King side of things, you get Bradley Beal, who could be a better fit considering he is a more off the ball, more of a scoring threat. Sacramento is big on dribble handoffs. A dribble handoff with Bradley Beal and Sabonis could be somewhat of a nightmare for teams out in the West. I'm not going to say this makes them absorbently better, but I will say that this isn't the worst case scenario, given you have Bradley Beal, you'll have him for a few seasons, you get an amazing draft capital from Miami. Well, I wouldn't say amazing, but you get solid draft capital from Miami and Phoenix, and you're still kind of right where you were when De'Aaron Fox was there. But you have the assets now to kind of either make more moves or go kind of in that rebuild mode. For Phoenix, you get Jimmy Butler and Josh Richardson. You get some toughness on that team, you get some wing defenders, and you get more of an identity, man, because Bradley Beal, let's just call it what it is. He just doesn't fit. Now, that's not to say Bradley Beal is some scrub or nothing. He just does not fit with the Phoenix Suns and how they run their offense. I'm sorry. You got Booker, you got KD. You need another two-way kind of gritty wing guy out there. Bradley Beal just doesn't fit that mold, and that's why I think Josh Richardson and Jimmy Butler definitely address those issues. More so Jimmy Butler than Josh Richardson, but I digress. I think all three teams improve however way you slice it. So I think this is probably my favorite trade that I've came up with so far. But as always, let me know down below and see what you think about that. This one was a trade that I've been talking to about with a lot of my friends, and I even pitched this trade to CW and let me know what you guys think down below. But we got Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, and Donovan Dante DiVincenzo, Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, and Alec Burks. Now, how I came up with this trade, because I understand some people are going to think this trade is kind of wild, considering my disdain for Julius Randle. But if you look at it and look at some of the better players that Jimmy Butler could be traded for, Julius Randle is one of those better players. And it's kind of crazy that no one has talked about Minnesota being in these Jimmy Butler sweepstakes, because Jimmy Butler, he would add another scorer, another ball handler to the Minnesota Timberwolves. We have heard time and time again from Anthony Edwards that he needs another piece. He needs more options. He needs people that are able to score, because the offense sucks, right? You bring in a guy like Jimmy Butler, does it completely solve all your offensive woes? No. But it definitely helps. You get Duncan Robinson, who is a phenomenal shooter. Obviously, you're losing that wing defense in Jaden McDaniels, but if he's giving you close to nothing on the offensive end, it's kind of like you have to pick your poison. And I know Duncan Robinson isn't no stout defender, but he's got size, and he's got some, I guess, lateral movement with his feet. He can kind of move his feet. I'm not saying he's going to be no ball stopper, but I think he is serviceable on the wing as a defender, and being a night and day upgrade from Jaden McDaniels from the 3-point line. That gives guys like Anthony Edwards and Jimmy Butler more space to operate. With this also gives you the chance to experiment with a Naz Reid lineup, where you have Butler at the 4 and Naz Reid at the 5. You can still go small with this because Butler can guard most 4s, and you still can have some defensive versatility. So you also get Alec Burks, who's another good shooter, who kind of is in place of Dante DiVincenzo. Alec Burks doesn't need the ball in his hands as much. He can play more off the ball. Dante is a better creator than Alec Burks. So sending him to a team like Miami, who we've seen that with a good defense around him, DiVincenzo can be pretty solid on that end of the floor, while also giving you an efficient 15 points a night. Now, we've seen some ups and downs from him this season on the Timberwolves, but I think a team like Miami, I think DiVincenzo is perfect for a team like Miami. So I throw all those pieces together. I think, again, when I said the soft rebuild from Miami, I think Randle, even if he doesn't work with Bam, you give him for a 2-year, you can flip him the next season. You can still do some other things with the roster, and that capital is essentially gone, while also keeping a young piece like Jaden McDaniels, who's the embodiment of that Heat culture, as well as Dante DiVincenzo. Let me know your thoughts down below. So, yeah, that is all my trades. Definitely let me know down below of what trade you like the most. What team do you want to see Jimmy Butler go to? Because we will definitely be getting that news probably within the next few days to weeks. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. Thank you guys for watching. If you like, subscribe, comment down below. And until this next time, I'm out.